Welcome to Infinite Universe with interesting episode. When we think about dangerous animals around us, most people imagine big predators like lions, tigers, or sharks. We think of creatures with sharp teeth and powerful jaws. But some of the most dangerous living beings in the world are not large at all, they're tiny. In fact, they're so small that many of us don't notice them at all. These are insects. From the annoying buzz of a mosquito to the quiet crawl of a beetle, these little creatures can carry the power to harm or even kill both humans and animals. What's truly frightening is that many of these insects look harmless. You might even ignore them when you see them crawling on a wall or flying near your ear. But some of them are so dangerous that a single sting or bite could change your life or even end it. The real question is, how dangerous are these insects really? Let's explore some of the most deadly insects in the world, starting with one that might make your skin crawl just by thinking about it, the botfly. The botfly is an insect that doesn't look too scary when you first see it. It looks kind of like a bumblebee, covered in tiny hairs. But what it does to living beings, especially mammals like humans, is truly disturbing. You might have seen videos on the internet where doctors or veterinarians are pulling out something wiggling from a person's skin. That's a botfly larva. The video might seem satisfying to some, but it hides a terrifying truth. Botflies are among the most dangerous parasites on Earth. Botflies don't carry diseases or spread bacteria like mosquitoes do. They don't inject any poison either. But their danger lies in what they do to the body. Botflies are parasitic, which means they depend on a host to survive. They need a living creature like a human, a dog, a cat, or even a cow to feed and grow. When a botfly finds a host, it finds a way to lay its eggs under the skin. This could be through a tiny wound, a hair follicle, or even using another insect like a mosquito to help carry the egg. Once the egg is inside the skin, the larva hatches and starts to grow. It stays hidden in the skin, feeding and getting bigger over time. It causes a painful, swollen lump that looks like a pimple but doesn't go away. Sometimes the lump leaks fluids, and if you press it, you can feel something moving inside. That's the larva living under your skin. And here's the worst part, you can't just pull it out. The larva has little hooks on its body that anchor it in place, making it almost impossible to remove without the right technique. Botflies are found mostly in Central and South America. Countries like Mexico, Paraguay, and Argentina are home to the human botfly, known in science as Dermatobia hominis. Many tourists have returned from trips to these countries, only to discover a strange lump on their skin that turns out to be a botfly larva. It can happen on the head, arm, back, or anywhere the insect had access to. The only way to remove the larva safely is to force it to come out on its own. Doctors often use materials like petroleum jelly or even strips of bacon to cover the breathing hole the larva uses. Once its air supply is cut off, the larva begins to move upward, looking for a way out. That's when it can be carefully pulled out using special tools. Sometimes, surgery is needed if the larva is too deep or if it has caused an infection. Even though botflies don't kill their host, they can make animals sick. Without medical treatment, infected animals can suffer and even die in a few months. While botflies might not seem deadly at first, their method of survival is terrifying. And if you think that's bad, the next insect is even more painful to deal with, the bullet ant. The bullet ant is called that for a good reason. Imagine what it feels like to get shot by a bullet. Now imagine that kind of pain coming from an ant sting. That's what victims say it feels like when they get stung by a bullet ant. People who have experienced this say the pain is so intense that they feel like screaming or fainting. It's not just pain, either. The area becomes numb and difficult to move. People shake, sweat, and sometimes even vomit from the unbearable pain. The sting of the bullet ant is considered one of the most painful insect stings in the world. There's even a special scale called the Schmidt Pain Index that ranks insect stings, and the bullet ant sits at the very top of that list. It's a legend in the insect world. Indigenous tribes in South America have long feared it and respected it. Bullet ants live in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America. You'll find them in places like Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, and Nicaragua. They build their homes at the bottom of trees and send worker ants to gather food from high up in the forest. Each colony has hundreds of ants. Despite their scary reputation, bullet ants don't go out looking for trouble. They only sting when they feel they're in danger. If they think their colony is under attack, they'll warn others with a special scent and then get ready to fight. And fight they do. Bullet ants first grab their target with their strong jaws. Then, they sting multiple times, injecting venom into the skin. Their venom contains a powerful chemical called ponerotoxin. This toxin messes with the body's nervous system, making it hard for muscles to work properly. That's why people feel paralyzed or dizzy after getting stung. Some people even develop irregular heartbeats, fevers, or nausea. Even though their sting is extremely painful, it isn't deadly to humans. There's no proof that it causes allergic reactions or long-term damage in most cases. But it can be very dangerous for smaller creatures like other insects. The venom can easily kill them. Bullet ants are also used in strange and painful coming-of-age rituals in some tribes. For example, the Sateremor people of Brazil use bullet ants in a ceremony where young boys must wear gloves filled with these ants. The ants are woven into the gloves with their stingers facing inward. The boys must wear the gloves many times to prove their strength and become warriors. Now, if pain wasn't enough, imagine an insect so big and aggressive that it could destroy an entire bee colony in just a few hours. That's exactly what the Asian giant hornet can do. In 2021, people in the United States started hearing scary news about a new kind of hornet. It was called the Asian giant hornet, but many people gave it a much more frightening name, murder hornet. These huge hornets were spotted in places like Washington State and Vancouver Island, and experts feared they might start spreading across the country. What made them so dangerous wasn't just their sting, but their behavior. They attacked honeybees in groups, decapitating them one by one. A small group of murder hornets could wipe out thousands of bees in just a short time. These hornets originally come from parts of Asia, including Japan, China, Korea, Vietnam, and Thailand. They prefer living in forests and low mountain areas, where they make their nests underground. But when they started appearing in North America, scientists and beekeepers were alarmed. Honeybees are important because they help pollinate crops, which means they play a big role in growing food. In the US alone, honeybees contribute about $15 billion to the economy. So, if murder hornets were to spread, they could seriously harm food production. Asian giant hornets are huge compared to regular wasps or bees. Female hornets can grow up to 4 centimeters long, which is about 1.5 inches. Their sharp jaws can slice through insect bodies easily. While they usually hunt alone, during certain times of the year they gather together for big attacks on other insect colonies, especially beehives. This organized attack is known as the slaughter phase. Their venom isn't the most poisonous in the world, but they inject a lot of it. Their stinger is strong enough to go through thick clothes, including the protective gear that beekeepers wear. When they feel threatened, they send out signals to call other hornets for backup. A group of murder hornets attacking together can be very dangerous, especially for children or people with health problems. While they don't usually go after humans on purpose, getting too close to their nest can lead to multiple stings. Even though these hornets are frightening, they're not the only tiny insect capable of causing massive problems. Sometimes, the most dangerous creatures are the ones you don't feel at all until it's too late. One example of that is the deer tick. The deer tick, also known as the black-legged tick, may look small and harmless. It's about the size of a sesame seed, and if you saw one crawling on your skin, you might just brush it off without thinking much. But this tiny creature can change someone's life completely, and not in a good way. That's because it's known to carry one of the most serious diseases that can be passed from insects to humans, Lyme disease. Lyme disease is caused by a bacterium called Borrelia burgdorferi, and the deer tick is the main insect that spreads it to humans. The process is simple but very dangerous. When a tick bites a human or animal, it attaches itself tightly to the skin and starts to feed on blood. If the tick is infected with the bacteria, it transfers it into the person's bloodstream. The early symptoms of Lyme disease can feel like the flu, fever, chills, fatigue, and muscle aches, but if it's not treated quickly, it can lead to long-term problems like joint pain, heart issues, and even nerve damage. Ticks don't just jump on you the way fleas do. They wait quietly on tall grass or leaves, and when a warm-blooded animal walks by, like a deer, dog, or human, they climb on and start feeding. The scariest thing is that their bite doesn't hurt. You may not even notice that a tick is feeding on you for hours or even days. Some ticks stay attached for up to 72 hours. These ticks are found mainly in the United States, especially in wooded or grassy areas. They're common in the Northeast, Midwest, and along the Pacific coast. Anyone who enjoys hiking, gardening, or just spending time in nature should be cautious, especially in spring and summer when ticks are most active. The best way to protect yourself is to wear long sleeves and pants, use insect repellent, and check your skin after being outdoors. If a tick is found, it needs to be removed carefully with tweezers. You should grab it close to the skin and pull it out slowly without twisting. If any part of the tick is left behind, it can lead to infection. And if you feel sick days or weeks after a tick bite, you should see a doctor immediately. Even though deer ticks are tiny, the diseases they spread can stay with people for years. Now let's talk about another insect that is feared worldwide, not because it spreads disease or lays eggs under your skin, but because its venom is powerful enough to kill a human. This next insect is feared across Africa, the tsetse fly. The tsetse fly might look like a regular housefly, but it is far more dangerous. It lives in sub-Saharan Africa and is known for spreading a disease called African sleeping sickness, also known as trypanosomiasis. This disease affects both people and animals and has been a huge public health problem in many African countries for decades. When a tsetse fly bites a person, it injects parasites called trypanosoma. At first, the person might just feel tired or get a fever. But as the parasites spread through the body, they reach the brain. Once the brain is affected, things get very serious. The person may become confused, have trouble sleeping or staying awake, and eventually fall into a deep sleep from which they may never wake up. That's how the disease got its name, sleeping sickness. The tsetse fly bite itself is painful, and the area around it can swell up. The real danger begins when the parasites start attacking the nervous system. If not treated, sleeping sickness can be fatal. The World Health Organization has worked for years to reduce the number of cases, and thankfully, the numbers have gone down. But the tsetse fly is still a threat in many rural areas of Africa where access to healthcare is limited. Controlling the tsetse fly has been difficult. The flies are strong, fast, and very good at hiding. Scientists have used traps, insecticides, and even sterile fly programs, where male flies are sterilized and released to lower the population. But the risk is still there, especially for people living near rivers and forests where these flies are most active. Unlike mosquitoes or ticks, which are found in many parts of the world, tsetse flies are mostly limited to Africa. Still, their ability to cause deadly disease makes them one of the most dangerous insects on Earth. Now imagine an insect that causes the most deaths worldwide. You might be thinking of something large or scary, but the truth is, the deadliest insect of all is one we all know too well, the mosquito. Mosquitoes are small, annoying, and they seem to be everywhere. They buzz in your ear, bite your skin, and leave you itching. But what many people don't realize is that mosquitoes are responsible for spreading more deadly diseases than any other insect on the planet. Malaria, dengue fever, Zika virus, chikungunya, yellow fever, and West Nile virus are just some of the illnesses that mosquitoes carry. Together, these diseases kill hundreds of thousands of people every year. Malaria alone kills more than 600,000 people annually, most of them children under the age of 5 in Africa. That means this tiny insect kills more people than snakes, sharks, lions, and all the large predators combined. How do mosquitoes do so much damage? It all starts with the female mosquito. Only females bite humans and animals because they need blood to develop their eggs. When they bite, they use a straw-like mouthpart called a proboscis to pierce the skin and draw blood. During this process, if the mosquito is infected, it injects viruses or parasites into the bloodstream. It all happens in seconds, and most people don't even notice. Different species of mosquitoes carry different diseases. For example, Anopheles mosquitoes spread malaria, Aedes aegypti spreads dengue and Zika, and Culex mosquitoes spread West Nile virus. Each one thrives in different climates, but all need water to breed. That's why mosquito control often focuses on getting rid of standing water where mosquitoes lay their eggs, like puddles, buckets, old tires, and even bottle caps. Scientists and health workers around the world have tried many ways to stop mosquitoes. These include mosquito nets treated with insecticide, sprays, traps, and even genetic engineering. In some places, genetically modified mosquitoes have been released to reduce the population by making it harder for them to reproduce. Still, the fight against mosquitoes continues. Climate change is also making the problem worse, as warmer temperatures help mosquitoes live longer and spread into new areas. In places where malaria and dengue were once rare, these diseases are now becoming more common. As dangerous as mosquitoes are, there's another insect whose bite doesn't spread disease, but can still kill, especially if you're allergic. That's the common wasp. Wasps are often confused with bees, but they are very different. Bees are pollinators and usually only sting in defense. Wasps, on the other hand, can be very aggressive and will sting multiple times. Their stings are painful and contain venom that can cause swelling, redness, and itching. But for people who are allergic, a wasp sting can trigger a deadly reaction called anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis causes the throat to swell, the blood pressure to drop, and the person to go into shock. Without quick treatment, it can be fatal. That's why wasps are considered dangerous, especially in areas where they nest close to people. They often build their nests in roofs, garages, or trees, and if the nest is disturbed, the wasps will attack in large numbers. There are many types of wasps around the world, from the yellow jacket to the paper wasp to the hornet. Some, like the European hornet or the Asian hornet, are especially aggressive and dangerous. Even worse, wasps don't die after they sting like honeybees do. They can sting again and again. For people who are allergic, just one sting can be a life or death situation. That's why carrying an epinephrine injector, like an EpiPen, is crucial for those who know they have severe allergies. Even for people who aren't allergic, multiple stings can still cause serious problems, especially for children and the elderly. Wasps are not always bad. They do help by eating pests like flies and caterpillars, but their behavior makes them a serious threat when they nest near homes or schools. There is another insect that many people are not familiar with, but it's deadly in its own way. It's called the kissing bug. It sounds harmless after all. What could be dangerous about something called a kissing bug? But the truth is very different. This insect got its name because it tends to bite humans around the lips or face while they sleep. However, what it leaves behind is much worse than just a bite mark. The kissing bug is known for spreading a deadly illness called Chagas disease. The kissing bug, also known as the assassin bug or triatamine bug, is mostly found in Central and South America, although in recent years, it has also been seen in the southern United States. The bug itself is not dangerous because of its bite, but because of what happens after it bites. When it feeds on a person's blood, it often defecates near the wound. The parasite Trypanosoma cruzi, which causes Chagas disease, lives in the insect's feces. If the person rubs or scratches the bite, something that happens often in sleep, the parasite can enter the body through the broken skin or even through the eyes or mouth. Chagas disease doesn't always show symptoms right away. In the early stages, a person might feel mild fever, swelling at the bite site, or fatigue. But the real danger is in the long-term effects. If left untreated, the parasites can quietly damage the heart and digestive system over many years. People can suddenly suffer from heart failure, stroke, or even die from sudden cardiac arrest. The damage to internal organs is often permanent. More than 6 million people are believed to be infected with Chagas disease globally. In some poor communities, where people sleep without protection or screens, the kissing bug becomes a silent killer. There is no vaccine for the disease, but medicines like benznidazole can help if the infection is caught early. That's why health workers encourage people to use bed nets and seal up holes or cracks in homes where bugs could crawl in. Even though this bug seems small and quiet, its ability to spread a life-threatening illness makes it one of the most dangerous insects in the world. While the kissing bug attacks in the dark, there's another insect that prefers to attack when you least expect it, especially when you're relaxing on a beach or walking barefoot outdoors. It's called the sandfly. This tiny insect might look like a regular small fly, but its bite can lead to a serious disease called leishmaniasis. Sandflies are found in many parts of the world, including South America, the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Southern Europe. The insects are usually active during the evening and night, and they prefer warm climates. What makes them dangerous is that they carry a parasite called leishmania, which they pass to humans through their bite. The disease they spread, leishmaniasis, can take different forms, each one worse than the next. The most common form is cutaneous leishmaniasis, which causes painful skin sores that take a long time to heal. These sores often leave scars and can become infected. But there's a much more dangerous version called visceral leishmaniasis, also known as kala-azar. In this form, the parasites attack internal organs like the liver and spleen. Without treatment, it can lead to death in over 90% of cases. What's terrifying is how unnoticed the bite can be. Sandflies are incredibly small, much smaller than mosquitoes, and their bite is often painless. People usually don't realize they've been bitten until symptoms begin to appear weeks or even months later. These symptoms include fever, weight loss, and swelling of the belly due to the liver and spleen getting larger. In some areas where people already struggle with poor health, leishmaniasis becomes deadly very quickly. Efforts to stop the spread of sandflies include insecticide-treated nets, indoor spraying, and better sanitation. But like many insects on this list, sandflies continue to be a major threat in parts of the world where healthcare and protective measures are harder to access. As we explore these insects, it becomes clear that size has nothing to do with danger. In fact, the smaller they are, the harder they are to avoid. Take for example the fire ant, an insect that not only causes pain but also attacks in large groups. And when fire ants swarm, they do so with a terrifying level of coordination and aggression. Fire ants are tiny reddish-brown ants that are mostly found in the southern United States, South America, and parts of Asia and Australia. They are not just known for their sting, but for their extremely aggressive nature. Unlike most ants, fire ants will attack anything that disturbs their nest, and they do it as a group. If a person accidentally steps on a fire ant mound, hundreds of ants can swarm onto the legs in seconds, each one biting and stinging repeatedly. The sting of a fire ant feels like a sharp burning pain, hence the name fire ant. After the sting, painful blisters often appear and can become infected. In some people, especially those allergic to insect venom, a fire ant attack can cause serious medical emergencies like difficulty breathing or swelling of the throat. In the worst cases, the reaction can be fatal. What makes fire ants even more dangerous is their ability to adapt. They build their nests in open fields, near buildings, or even under sidewalks. They can survive floods by forming living rafts with their bodies and floating until they reach dry land. They also reproduce quickly, which makes controlling them extremely difficult. Fire ants are also harmful to pets and livestock. Small animals can be seriously injured or even killed by fire ant stings if they are attacked while sleeping or resting. Now imagine combining the aggressiveness of the fire ant with the intelligence of a coordinated group. That's exactly what army ants do. These ants are different from most other ant species because they don't build permanent nests. Instead, they move as a massive group, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, forming a living wave of destruction. Army ants are found mainly in Central and South America and parts of Africa and Asia. They move in huge columns, devouring everything in their path. Their strong jaws allow them to tear apart insects, small animals, and even birds. Farmers in some areas fear army ant swarms because they can wipe out entire nests of chickens or destroy crops. The frightening part is that once army ants enter a space, they are nearly impossible to stop. They cover every inch of the ground, climbing walls, trees, and anything in their way. People in villages where army ants are common will sometimes abandon their homes temporarily when they see a swarm coming. Once the ants move through and leave, the people return. Army ants use teamwork like no other. They form bridges with their bodies to cross gaps and protect their queen and young at the center of their massive swarm. Though they rarely attack humans unless provoked, stepping into their path can result in hundreds of painful bites and injuries. Their jaws are so powerful that some tribes have used them like stitches, placing the ant on a wound, allowing it to bite, and then cutting off the body, leaving the jaws to hold the skin together. So, whether it's a tiny fly that brings disease in the night, a swarming colony of stinging ants, or a fast-moving group of biting army ants, insects come in many forms and their threats come in many types. Some spread sickness that lasts for a lifetime. Others bring pain that can feel worse than being shot. And many, without us even realizing it, are around us every day, hiding in plain sight. The deer tick is found mostly in the northeastern, midwestern, and southeastern parts of the United States. It's incredibly small, often no bigger than a pencil tip or sesame seed, yet the damage it can cause is anything but small. Deer ticks are known to spread Lyme disease, which is the most common tick-borne illness in the United States, but that's not all. These tiny parasites can also transmit other diseases such as anaplasmosis, babesiosis, and the Powassan virus. Each of these illnesses can cause serious health issues, and in some cases, they can even be fatal. Deer ticks go through 4 stages in their lives: egg, larva, nymph, and adult. At every stage, they need to feed on blood to survive. They typically latch onto small animals and birds, but also larger mammals like deer and even humans. The nymph stage is the most dangerous for humans. At this stage, they are still so tiny that people often don't see them. Most tick-related infections happen in late spring and early summer, when these nymphs are most active. Their bite is painless, so people rarely notice when a tick has latched on. This gives the tick plenty of time, sometimes days, to pass on bacteria and viruses into the person's bloodstream. Symptoms of tick-borne diseases vary. Some people experience fever, chills, muscle pain, and fatigue. In more serious cases, the person can suffer from neurological issues or problems with their heart. Lyme disease, if not treated early, can lead to chronic joint pain, facial paralysis, and heart problems. One of the scariest illnesses spread by deer ticks is the Powassan virus. Although it is rare, it can cause severe inflammation of the brain and nervous system and can even be fatal. There was a case in New York where a 62-year-old man was infected with the Powassan virus. He had symptoms like fever, weakness in his limbs, and a skin rash. Despite doctors' efforts, he didn't survive. An autopsy revealed the virus in his tissues, and because he hadn't traveled recently, doctors believed the virus was present in the local tick population. The man spent a lot of time outdoors and lived in an area where Lyme disease was already a problem, which made him a high-risk target for ticks. Another case involved a 72-year-old woman in Maine who fell ill after being bitten by a deer tick. She was admitted to the hospital with fever, low blood pressure, and trouble urinating. Just a few weeks before, she had removed a tick from her breast and another from her shoulder. She soon developed symptoms like muscle aches and chills, as well as the red rash often linked to Lyme disease. Cases like these show just how dangerous something as small as a tick can be. Next on the list of dangerous creatures is the black widow spider. These spiders are known for their shiny black bodies and the distinctive red hourglass shape on their abdomen. While there are several species of black widow spiders around the world, they all share one thing in common: their venom is extremely powerful. In fact, the venom of a black widow is estimated to be 15 times stronger than that of a rattlesnake. That sounds terrifying, but most bites don't end in death. For humans, the symptoms of a black widow bite can include muscle cramps, nausea, and in rare cases, breathing difficulties due to paralysis of the diaphragm. Despite the strength of their venom, black widow bites are usually not fatal. Serious complications are rare and typically occur in small children, elderly individuals, or people with weak immune systems. Most black widow bites cause only mild to moderate symptoms and can be treated with medical care. These spiders are not naturally aggressive and tend to bite only when they feel threatened, such as when someone unknowingly sits on them or disturbs their web. There was a serious outbreak in Albania in 2006, where black widow bites caused panic. Reports surfaced that several people had died after being bitten, although health officials confirmed only 2 deaths: a 17-year-old boy and a 27-year-old woman. The situation was so alarming that emergency rooms filled up with worried people seeking treatment for insect bites. Several hundred doses of antivenom were rushed in from neighboring Croatia to handle the situation. Black widow spiders also exhibit a disturbing behavior called sexual cannibalism. After mating, the female sometimes kills and eats the male spider. This aggressive trait is the reason for their name, black widow. These spiders are usually solitary and only come together to mate. The female builds a large web and lays hundreds of eggs in a protective sac. After the baby spiders hatch, they scatter in different directions. Black widows trap insects in their webs, including flies, mosquitoes, grasshoppers, and beetles. They have special bristles on their back legs that help them wrap their prey in silk. When feeding, they inject digestive fluids into their prey's body using their sharp fangs, which turn the insides into liquid. The spider then drinks the fluid, leaving behind an empty shell of what was once an insect. Another dangerous insect is the Linomia obliqua, also called the assassin caterpillar. This creature may look harmless, but it is one of the deadliest caterpillars in the world. Just a few stings from this caterpillar can cause severe internal bleeding and organ failure. It lives mainly in the rainforests of South America and is responsible for around 500 deaths across the continent. In Brazil, there was a strange outbreak of internal bleeding among people who worked in the rainforest, and scientists found that contact with this caterpillar was the only thing they all had in common. The assassin caterpillar is small, only about 2 inches long, and has a green and brown body that blends in with the trees. It's hard to see, which makes accidental contact more likely. Its body is covered with hollow hairs that inject venom into the skin. This venom contains chemicals that prevent blood from clotting, which leads to serious internal bleeding. If someone is stung multiple times, usually between 20 and 100 stings, it can become fatal. The adult moth version of this caterpillar is less dangerous, but its caterpillar form is deadly. While not every contact results in death, people who are stung should still seek medical attention, especially if symptoms start to show. The assassin bug is another insect that earns its frightening name. It belongs to a family of bugs known for their skill in hunting other insects. These bugs can be found all over the world, from forests to grasslands to backyards. Assassin bugs have long bodies, long legs, and a special mouthpart called a proboscis. This tool works like a straw and lets them pierce through their prey's body to suck out the fluids. Before they feed, they inject digestive enzymes that turn the insides of their prey into liquid. Assassin bugs hunt other insects like aphids and caterpillars. Some even use mimicry to look like harmless bugs so they can sneak up on their victims. While assassin bugs help control pest populations, they can also be harmful to humans. Their bites are very painful and can cause swelling. Some species, like the triatomine bug, can transmit dangerous diseases like Chagas disease. This disease is caused by a parasite and can lead to severe heart and digestive problems if not treated. Now, let's talk about the common housefly. You see them almost every day, and they seem harmless, but the truth is they are one of the most dangerous insects because of how many diseases they spread. Houseflies breed in disgusting places like trash heaps, sewers, and animal waste. They lay eggs that hatch into maggots, which grow into flies. These flies can fly miles away to find new food sources and places to lay eggs. Because houseflies eat and walk on filth, they carry bacteria and viruses on their bodies. When they land on your food or kitchen surfaces, they leave behind these germs. Houseflies are believed to spread more than 65 diseases, including typhoid fever, dysentery, tuberculosis, and cholera. Even though they don't bite or sting, their role in spreading disease makes them extremely dangerous. It's important to keep your home clean and free of standing food or waste to avoid attracting these insects. In some cultures, eating insects like flies is common, but in most places, flies are a serious health concern. Next up is the blister beetle. While it doesn't look threatening, this insect can cause serious harm. The beetle produces a chemical called cantharidin, which causes painful blisters when it touches the skin. It's especially dangerous to animals like horses, sheep, and cows. The chemical stays active even after the beetle dies, which means animals can be poisoned by eating hay that contains dead beetles. Cantharidin poisoning can lead to internal bleeding, irritation of the digestive system, and even death if the animal eats too much of it. Symptoms usually appear within hours. Horses may suffer from colic, frequent urination, and low calcium levels, which can damage their hearts. While blister beetle poisoning is rare in humans, there are reported cases of serious reactions. If someone gets the chemical in their eyes, it can cause serious damage. Medical attention is always advised. Finally, We come to the most dangerous insect of all, the Anopheles mosquito. This mosquito is responsible for spreading malaria, a disease that kills hundreds of thousands of people every year. These mosquitoes are common in warm and humid places like tropical and subtropical regions. There are over 400 species of Anopheles mosquitoes, but only a few spread the malaria parasite. Only female mosquitoes bite humans because they need blood to develop their eggs. When a mosquito bites someone who is already infected, it picks up the malaria parasites. Later, when it bites another person, it passes those parasites into the bloodstream, spreading the disease. Malaria causes fever, chills, and flu-like symptoms, but if left untreated, it can become deadly. In addition to malaria, these mosquitoes also spread other diseases like lymphatic filariasis and dengue fever. To protect yourself, it's important to eliminate standing water around your home, use mosquito nets, and apply insect repellent. Even though these mosquitoes are tiny, their impact on human health is massive. These tiny insects and parasites may not look like much, but the threats they pose are real and sometimes deadly. Whether it's the quiet bite of a tick, the painful sting of a caterpillar, or the silent spread of disease by a mosquito, the danger is always there. Staying aware, taking precautions, and respecting even the smallest creatures can go a long way in protecting ourselves and our loved ones. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.